For nearly 2,000 years, the papacy has stood at the center of one of the world's oldest religious institutions. Today, the Pope is expected to live a life of celibacy, dedicating himself entirely to spiritual leadership. But history reveals a far more complicated story. Long before celibacy was consistently enforced, and in some cases, despite official rules, some popes had children, acknowledged families, and promoted relatives to powerful positions. Some sons became military commanders, some daughters married into Europe's most influential noble houses, some relatives became cardinals, princes, or rulers. These family networks influenced diplomacy, wars, and the politics of Renaissance Italy. Tonight, we separate documented history from legend as we uncover the secret families of the popes. Many people assume priests have always been required to remain unmarried. The reality is more complex. In Christianity's earliest centuries, many clergy, including some bishops, had been married before entering ministry. Over time, the Western Church increasingly emphasized clerical celibacy. Key milestones included the First Lateran Council, the Second Lateran Council. These councils strengthened rules prohibiting clerical marriage in the Latin Church. However, enforcement varied for centuries. Some clergy continued to have children despite the rules. Others had children before becoming bishops or cardinals. Understanding this distinction is essential when evaluating historical claims. No family symbolizes papal dynastic politics more than the Borgias. When Rodrigo Borgia became Pope Alexander VI, he did something unusual for his era. He openly acknowledged several of his children. Among them were Cesare Borgia, Lucrezia Borgia, Giovanni Borgia, Geoffrey Borgia. Alexander VI used marriages, appointments, and political alliances to strengthen his family's influence. Cesare first became a cardinal before leaving the clergy to pursue military leadership. Lucrezia became Duchess of Ferrara through marriage and has been the subject of both documented history and enduring legends. Modern historians caution that many sensational stories about the Borgias originated from political enemies and later writers. Pope Paul III, born Alessandro Farnese, acknowledged children before becoming pope. His son, Pier Luigi Farnese, received major titles and territories. Other relatives were elevated to powerful church positions. Paul III's patronage of his family reflected a broader Renaissance pattern known as nepotism. Yet his papacy also launched significant reforms. He convened the Council of Trent, which became the foundation of the Catholic Reformation. His legacy therefore combines family patronage with institutional reform. Several medieval popes have been linked to children, though the evidence varies. Among them, Pope Sergius III. Later medieval sources claim that Pope Sergius III fathered the future Pope John XIII. Many historians regard this claim as uncertain because contemporary evidence is limited. Pope Innocent VIII. Pope Innocent VIII openly acknowledged several children before becoming pope and arranged advantageous marriages and careers for members of his family. Pope Julius II. Some historical accounts suggest Pope Julius II fathered a daughter before his election, although surviving evidence is less conclusive than for Alexander VI or Innocent VIII. These examples illustrate why historians distinguish between well-documented cases and those based mainly on later chronicles. The Renaissance papacy functioned not only as a religious office but also as the government of the Papal States. Like kings and princes across Europe, popes often relied on trusted relatives to administer territories, negotiate alliances, or command armies. This practice became known as nepotism, from the Latin nepos, nephew, because relatives were often publicly described as nephews even when they were sons or other family members. Although common at the time, excessive nepotism drew criticism from reformers who argued that church offices should be based on merit rather than family connections. The 16th century brought sweeping religious change. The Protestant Reformation challenged the authority of the Catholic Church. In response, the Catholic Reformation strengthened standards for clergy. Following the Council of Trent, discipline regarding clerical life, including celibacy in the Latin Church, was enforced more consistently. Over the following centuries, public expectations of the papacy changed significantly. Modern popes are expected to embody those standards of celibate service. The history of the papacy is not a single, unchanging story. Across nearly 2 millennia, the institution has evolved through periods of reform, political conflict, and cultural transformation. Some popes had documented children. Some claims remain disputed. Some families accumulated extraordinary influence. Others became symbols of the need for reform. Studying these stories is not about sensationalism. It is about understanding how religion, politics, and family intersected during different periods of history. The secret families of the popes remind us that even the world's oldest institutions have complex and deeply human histories. If you enjoyed this documentary, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more in-depth documentaries on world history, religion, and the people who shaped civilizations. Thanks for watching.